Yo people, welcome back to another video. Now on Tuesday evening, Netflix decided to announce that last week's episode of Monday Night Raw, the one from the 22nd of September, was officially the lowest viewed episode of Raw across a 7-day period since WWE went to Netflix, as it only got 2.3 million views across 7 days, which is an absolute embarrassment. These are numbers that Raw before Netflix used to get live on that very same day, and now it's only reaching it across 7 days to watch it at any time, any place you want, only 2.3 million. And this also shows a 61% drop in viewership compared to the very first episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix at the start of the year. This, conveniently enough, was also the Raw directly after the abomination called Wrestlepalooza, which we all had to witness, which ESPN themselves were apparently very disappointed and very angry with WWE because it was so bad. Now, this major decline in viewership is a result of trash content week after week after week, but when fans raise concerns online like myself, Triple H and his fanboys try to censor you, they try to abuse you online, and anyone who says anything that doesn't align with their views, you're getting abuse. Netflix isn't happy with WWE. ESPN isn't happy with WWE. But apparently we're the problem and we're being negative. That's like going to a restaurant, asking for chicken. The chicken comes out to the table, it's undercooked. So you raise a concern obviously with the waiter, can I get it cooked properly? And then the chef blames you. They don't cook it, they blame you, and they say it's your fault for not liking undercooked chicken. That's just what Triple H and his mutant worshippers do online. Then when one thing happens that is good, they glaze it. They put it on a wall of fame, on their hall of fame, and they glaze that moment eternally. And they do this over positivity gimmick. We're back. Triple H is cooking. Papa H is cooking. It's pure fraudulence. A lot of people have been calling this garbage out for months. The stats don't lie, the money don't lie, but apparently we're just being negative. We're bringing the product down with our negativity. Not the people actually writing the scripts, we are. And despite all of this chaos, ESPN, Netflix, no one's happy, TKO's in debt. We see no improvement for the product because the person in charge of the storylines is officially out of his depth. He even has a creative team and they do nothing to help. Why are they called creative team if we see no creativity ever? Triple H's booking has become an over-reliance of quick pops, quick nostalgia, and he's forgotten that the show is about being consistent, using progressive storytelling and using all these different techniques of storytelling in order to keep everyone entertained for the long run. Randy Orton, he's been staring at Cody Rhodes' WWE Championship for over a year and a half across 2 different reigns, and nothing has happened with that. But apparently that's called long-term storytelling. The Judgment Day, they're meant to be split by now, and we've seen cracks all the way since April, and we're still here. LA Knight, he's been over for over 2 years and no rewards for him. And the examples go on. He doesn't like to pull the trigger for stories because it seems like if he doesn't approve of someone or if he doesn't have exactly what he wants when he wants, then no one can do anything. It's just whatever he wants for his favorites, and that's the bottom line. It doesn't matter if you're over by yourself or naturally, if you don't fall into his plans, it's irrelevant. They even ruined John Cena's final year. They had a year to plan this whole farewell tour and they've stunken it up. This company has atrocious booking. I cannot stress that enough. And it all goes down to Triple H and his creative team. Literally every title on the roster feels lifeless. They can't book Rhea Ripley properly if she doesn't have a title. The women's US champion barely shows up on SmackDown. Jacob Fatu had some of the biggest pops of the year for active wrestlers and he's faded away into irrelevance, only came back last week after weeks of not being there. Everything is a complete mess from every angle you look at. The Monday Night Raw tag team titles aren't defended ever. There's so many different problems and so many different aspects that are just heading in a decline. However, let's focus on last week's episode of Monday Night Raw and let's see if it really deserved that low viewership record. We had Penta and the War Raiders versus the New Day, a useless match as Triple H tries to force the War Raiders onto us again by attaching them to Penta while burying the New Day once more after they had one of the best heel turns in recent times. We had Bayley versus Roxanne Perez in this 4-wrestler formulaic cookie cutter combination that they love to use in WWE in 2025. What I mean by that is they'll grab the same 3 or 4 wrestlers, make them have matches between each other for no reason across a 3 to 4 week period. We've seen this happen at the start of the year with Penta when he was coming into the company. We saw it on SmackDown with Chelsea Green's women's group and Zelina Vega. We're seeing it again now with Bayley, Lyra, Roxanne and Raquel. These are the ones that I could just think off the top of my head, and I know that there's definitely more. I'm pretty sure that the Street Profits are involved in one of these. You could mention a couple more with this formulaic, generic, four-way feud that actually leads to nothing. We had a Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins promo as Cody once again shows us he's an average Joe on the mic. He can't do nothing. He has no charisma. He just does a little whoa entrance and people get giddy. We had Rusev versus JD in a poor attempt to create division between the Judgment Day, but that's not the first time and it won't be the last time. They've actually just dragged this whole Judgment Day split for so long that it's just whatever at this point. We're waiting for it to happen instead of us being shocked for when it actually does happen. Wrestlers are legit wasting their time since storylines are taking so long to advance. They're taking so long to pull the trigger and nothing actually happens. So this company, which is supposed to be storytelling, is on pause for so long and we just cannot move on. We cannot get anything fresh. We can't get new feuds. We can't get new factions. We can't get new character changes, heel to face, face to heel, because nothing is advancing. We also got to see Jey Uso versus LA Knight, as LA Knight got shown once again that whenever it's a decisive match, he'll never win it because Triple H doesn't like him. I don't like him, but even I know he's being fucked over heavy. He should have won some sort of title of relevance by now, based off of the amount of merch he was moving, based off the pops he was getting. I don't rate him like I said, but I know he deserves something. We had a Stephanie Vakir promo, and to be honest, fair play to her for learning English. She's improved massively. It's clear as day to see her English has improved a lot. And it really makes you wonder, why can't Io Sky and the other Japanese wrestlers make as much of an effort to learn English? Speaking of the Japanese wrestlers, Asuka, Kairi and all those people, the main event was actually Asuka and Kairi turning heel on Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, which we already knew was gonna happen because they teased it for so long. Again, they don't pull the trigger, they don't even try to do the shock value thing anymore, and overall I think it definitely was not one of the worst Raws of this year, but I think it wasn't great, especially following up Wrestlepalooza. You should have gone out with something bigger to really apologize to the fans for that show, and in return we got nothing, just more of the same. Yep, if we do this little advancement, it should progress the storyline ever so slightly, but at the same time we're not doing anything, and that's just how they think. They try and stretch these storylines out, yet we have pay-per-views and PLEs every 2 to 3 weeks, so it doesn't make sense. Like I said, it's a bit convenient that this was the lowest watched Raw and it came right after Wrestlepalooza, where a lot of people lost their heads and said it was enough. So it makes sense as the company keeps finding new ways to alienate the real fans and find ways to just keep declining. As if outpricing fans for events wasn't enough. As if outpricing fans for regular merchandise wasn't enough. You take everyone's money for WrestleManias. You want to just elevate prices. Instead of setting trends for getting the most amount of love per Raw and SmackDown, the records that you want to break is how high can we raise the seat prices at events. You charge people $30 for PLEs just to produce trash. Every sector you look at in this company is just soulless. We're getting advertising non-stop on tables, on mats, everywhere. Every sector you look at is soulless, and they're finally paying the price while their fanboys attack you for speaking the truth. What's even crazier is that this week they've decided to already tell us 3 things that will happen on next week's Monday Night Raw. The first one is that we're going to be seeing Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez yet again. I'm pretty sure we saw this like 2 weeks ago. Roxanne never wins matches, so that's irrelevant. What's the point of this match? Oh, I know. Let's have a cookie cutter setup where we have the same 3 or 4 rotational wrestlers. Oh, and I know this week we'll have Bayley come out and do something different with the dual personality gimmick again. So yeah, overall, this match is pointless. If Lyra wins, it's standard. If Roxanne wins, it does nothing because they never push her anyways. They also announced Becky Lynch versus Maxine Dupree. Again, who cares about this match? We used to get Shawn Michaels versus Jeff Hardy on a Monday Night Raw. They weren't even in a feud. It was just a match for the culture, for the entertainment of fans. We used to get Kane versus Batista on SmackDown. These guys weren't even on feuds. They'd even add little stipulations just to up their entertainment. They would never dare to do this anymore. It's always squash matches, interferences, roll-up pins. That's the 3 key ways. That's the holy trinity for Triple H's booking. Squash matches, interference, roll-up pins. No one can win clean. If they do, it's a squash match. If it's two people going head to head where you actually want to see a good match, interference or roll-up, just to show that no one can really look weak. This match between Maxine Dupree and Becky Lynch will probably see the return of AJ Lee once again as she goes for the Intercontinental title. She will probably cost Becky Lynch the match, or after Becky wins, she attacks Maxine and then AJ Lee comes out to attack Becky to start their feud. It's the same thing over and over again. The third and last announcement that we got this week about next week's Raw is that CM Punk will be on Raw. An employee shows up to work and he's gonna cut a promo. Well done, congratulations. That's what we're applauding in 2025. People will applaud all three of these announcements and it's just sad. Now Triple H acts like we should be grateful, like we're blessed. He gives us the bare minimum and he'll call you ungrateful if you don't like it. Now, here's my last thoughts for you. Just have a think about this. Where is the excitement coming from any of these shows? You got two shows. You got basically talent working their ass off 2 times a week and we get no excitement. All these wrestlers, they're good, they're exciting. There's no reason why we should be in this state. But under this booking, everyone is looking boring. They're looking confused. They're looking lackluster. Who is genuinely shining at the minute? A few weeks ago, you could have said Jacob Fatu. Even he's gone. He's lost his hype. Rhea Ripley, she's so-and-so. We don't really know because she doesn't go and fight on a weekly basis. They even brought back Roman this week and now everyone's kind of questioning it. Yeah, it was a good moment. He got the pop, whatever. But we've seen this gimmick 3 times this year. Injury comes back. Injury comes back. Seth Rollins did it. The Bronze did it. So what's to stop him from getting injured once again for storyline and then returning to a big pop? We're all tired of this mess. And if it carries on, Triple H just has to get fired. It's as simple as that. All these top stories that he's had that people glaze him for. Papa H is cooking. Papa H is doing this. He's doing that. They are all stories that started under Vince McMahon, like the Bloodline that everyone hypes up. That was a Vince McMahon story. This guy just took over and what a shock. It's gone down and it's declined. So again, what stories has this guy actually contributed that are fresh and unique? Because all the ones that people glazed him for were started under Vince McMahon or they involve Vince McMahon created characters. This guy can't add anything fresh or unique and people are still blindly worshipping him. He himself was a great wrestler, an all-time legend. There's no denying that at all. But that doesn't mean you can't critique him as a booker just because you liked him as a wrestler. But yeah, as always, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments to do with this low viewership for Netflix, just the overall landscape of WWE and anything else that you want to say. Let me know down below in the comments. It can be content ideas, all of that stuff. I'd appreciate if you could also like the video, sub to the channel, and thank you for your time.